Hi, morning.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Aditi.
Hi,
Hi.
Alka, Asha.
Mitra.
Okay, I'm just going to keep my video off for a while because there's no one at home, so I have to just keep one of my maids arrived. So I'll just be getting up and rushing off and coming back and rushing off and coming
All right, not
back.
a
Okay,
problem.
yeah, thanks.
Domestic duties.
One of my maids arrives, then I'll be good.
There's so many things that we have to dodge our work around now constantly. Open the door, give instructions, supervise, make sure you're thinking of four things ahead,
Yeah.
and then work also. So this is like addition.
Uh,
Uh, I was speaking with a friend the other day, and he was marveling at
yeah.
how many
I
things.
have this neighbor who has a Persian that keeps escaping from her house,
Oh no!
and it comes and parks in. Yeah, it's an unneutered male. So I don't know, there must be some female on he's somewhere. So this guy
Ah,
just keeps escaping every single day, and he can't jump in because I've raised the fence.
right.
And then the security will call me, Madam, wo billi aa gayi."
Cats, yes.
Call her.
One second.
"चला का तुझी मांजर घराच्या बाहेर आहे. Please come
Oh.
and take her."
But what does that cat do outside your house? He comes for your cat.
No, because there is this like they planted.
Can't, we can't hear anything.
So
I think maybe is there bandwidth an issue, sir?
he just comes and he sits there and rolls in the mud. He's a
Oh.
white Persian called Snowball.
So,
Probably. I don't know.
so sweet.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just worried that the stray dogs will get it.
What are we doing today, ma'am?
Today we are going to draw these street vendors.
Okay.
But I'm going to send you pictures. You will be the only one whom I'm not send pictures to. All right. So let's begin any case. I don't know when everyone else will join. So, oh, Alka is coming and going. We'll wait a minute for Alka. दिले हा हो आण ना घेऊन ये जरा जास्त करू मेथी हा आणि कोथिंबीर आहे आहे ना ठीक माहिती नाही तुलाच माहिती आहे निवडून ठेवली होती ना मी नाही वापरली का ओके Oh, what's happening? Archana is on 2 screens.
I joined back.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah. Now in previous classes for travel, we have done a whole lot of stuff with travel. We've done monuments is the first most obvious thing that we think of. And then there's also we have done foods, we've done some kind of local artifact. But I'm trying to look for stuff that we see when we are traveling, but often disregard. So last time, I think once that we did this, once we've done all this, I think the clothes hanging and everything we've done. So the stuff that you see, but you don't think that it's worth illustrating. One of those is hand carts. You see a lot of them in all cities. And in a strange way, this is the one thing that even I like in Indian street food. I don't eat the street food, that's just not to my taste. But I will sit and draw the hand cart because I love that whole colorful chatak thing that they have. Everything from like a gola wala or pani puri wala or like these ice cream stands and all. There's just so much illustration on the cart itself that it's really fun to illustrate those. And then worldwide, it seems to be a phenomenon where these hand carts uh, get a lot of art on them. And there's probably a simple reason because it's such a small space that to attract enough attention for people, they have to make it really stand out. Otherwise, it's just going to get lost in street furniture. So let me share the images of what we can do today. I have yet never had Faluda in my life, but this Faluda stand looks so interesting. Is any of you familiar with the local script? I don't know what the script is.
It looks something written in South Indian.
It's Kannada. It's, I think, Krishna.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kannada.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kannada. Great.
This looks like either Telugu, I think, or Kannada.
So that's another very nice thing about
Kannada, it's Kannada, no? Yeah.
Yeah, that it's the same thing. Krishna mix ice cream. That's what it's written in.
Krishna mix
Kannada
ice cream.
Yeah.
I love these local scripts. It's so cool. This though we can all read, I think. And there are so many of these hand cards that we see, and some of them have very elaborate illustrations. But I feel really sad that the rest of our cities sometimes are so dirty that we forget that these are actually like mobile artworks. Somebody has painstakingly written all that text very beautifully, but we tend to not see it like that. I didn't till some years ago when I came across a book by somebody who is documenting local scripts written by hand. And it really changed my mind. I have seen this also only as kachra. But maybe since about 10 years or so, I've started noticing how much it may be aesthetically flawed, but nonetheless, they are quite beautiful. Then you have these, which is what I thought was well organized design, good fonts. Everything was well constructed. And I think these look nice only because the environment around them was kept very clean. Because now that I look at it, it's still just a hand cart. It's still a street vendor. And this fellow has as much clutter as this fellow does. This fellow's I mean, his cart is very worn. That's the only thing. This fellow has enough, I guess, to paint it once in a while. So I've given you just these two are, I think, Indian, and the remaining are from outside because we are familiar with some. This one I absolutely love for the artwork. I have no idea what he's like, got 6 bottles on his cart, but the lettering is just fantastic. Then these are common urban street vendors, but they're also just full of lots of illustrations. So the hand cart per se is just a metallic can on wheels, but then all these things can be placed on top of it to make it look attractive. Then we have these gimmicky cards as well, which are fun to illustrate. And very often you come across these and feel you wish you could draw them. And of course, you have the vintage kinds, which are altogether another artifact in itself. But if you, again, if you see comparatively, they all have certain common features. They're all very bright. They're very tiny, and they're meant to service very quick customers. So what we'll do is, in something like this, there's so much of detail that we might get lost in the detail itself. So we're going to try this one. I'm going to leave to you guys to draw at your leisure because you can't do this very fast. But the other ones we can make. So I want to first make this Bhelpuri guy because I find him quite intriguing. And in this now, if we go back to what we studied just last week, I want you to try and visualize the perspective lines. So we have one line over here which is straight. Somewhere over here is our eye line, and it's in all probability it's at the eye line of the guy standing at the vendor himself. And then you have these lines going sideways towards one vanishing point. Okay, are you able to see these now since last week's class?
Yeah, Aditi.
And this is where often I found there have been issues with illustration. Many people get these lines wrong and then the whole cart falls apart in a sense. So now I want you to notice how both sides, the lines are not symmetrical. On the left side, the lines are more angular. On the right side, they are flatter. Like from this particular point at the bottom, if I were to draw the line, even if the point is the same, its angle is much steeper than the angle on the right. Okay, so you need to keep in mind that we are not making a pattern out of these perspective lines. We are just plotting them according to according to the visual that we see. There are lots of cues over here. But what you need to keep in mind is that these lines will always be radiating from the vanishing point, always. So in the event that you catch yourself making a line, say this is our eye line, the lines below will be curving inward towards the eye line or the horizon line. But if you catch yourself making, and this is a gradually increasing angle, no? If you make a line that is so like this over here, and then you make a line that is straight or going up above that line, you know you're doing something wrong. Okay, I want you to catch yourself before you do something like this. So I'm going to take a picture of this and share it. So you can use this as the perspective guidelines. Now, the second thing that you have to notice is proportions. And it always starts with first making a square like we normally do. Okay, so if we draw a square around the cart, there are a lot of things that we can see in the square. Can you all see the black lines?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lizzie? Lizzie? Just 1 second. Huh? Okay, then after we draw a square, we just create the grid as usual to give us some guidelines. So we'll make a vertical grid line, horizontal at half, and then divide those also in relevant spots. So wherever you can get some cue, like over here, we could probably divide this into 3 in the bottom. And this will give us an idea of how to proportion everything around it. Likewise, at the bottom, this line is about how much can it be? It's maybe just short of half, right? So at what point do we start this? We have a half line here. So the card starts somewhere at this point and ends also somewhere at that point, you can say, maybe a little further. So if I were to divide this section into 2, 4, and 8, so from 1/8, just a little insight from here. So the reason I'm giving you these very specific guidelines is so that you start seeing this kind of detail in your reference images. Very often, we'll make the cart in one proportion, then make the wheels in another proportion, and that's why the illustrations don't look good. Now, in the recent past, I have been asking you to make some illustrations really fast as well. So here's going back to our normal technique where we draw everything in detail as far as possible. Now, the main wheel is using up about so much space. So it's not within this box. The big pink box over here is made from half of this half. So 1/4 of the square away to half the square away. I'll share these proportions also with you. All right. Okay, the two images for the proportions and perspective are shared on the group, and you can use them as a reference to draw the hand card. We're not going to make it really big. We're just going to make it about this one.
Ma'am, I don't have the photos.
Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So this time again, we are going to, if time permits, we will make more than one. But right now, I just want you to make a small one here. And like we used to do in the past, go back to that same method where we will use the left side of our book to make all kinds of tests and practice, like for the lettering and whatnot. We practice that over here. You could make a dotted line on the left side, or just make 3-point markers so you know that this is your rough place. And if this illustration starts looking good, I want you to tear it out and put it up in your house somewhere. Not just look good. If it finishes, we will do that. Okay, so let's start with our square, which is slightly higher above. The bottom is, again, remember that the bottom part is about half of the square that we will draw. So keep adjusting to figure out how much space you are going to need, because you don't want to make a square that's this big right in the center of the page, and then the wheels are off the page. So make that adjustment. So 1 square and half of the square. And once you have that, just use your pencil to measure and mark these lines. Now these have to be very, very light. Measure half, bring this down. So this is the size of our hand cart. It's no bigger than my forefinger from the root. Now let's divide it in half, the square and the rectangle below. Divide the square in half on top, make the relevant lines. Here now we are going to divide this in half and a quarter. So this is where our wheels will come, half and a quarter. And the main wheel is going to come somewhere over here. Now the question is, when you are seeing it on the street, how do you draw all these proportions? You obviously can't draw them in the air, right? But that is where you start by using your pencil or any tool that you have to give yourself a measurement or proportion about how much of your pencil can you, of the card can you see. You should be able to see at least half a pencil size, about 4 inches or so, 3 to 4 inches. If not, if it's smaller than that, then you're too far away. If it's bigger than that, then you're too close. So then you need to move away a little bit. Now, once this is drawn, using these same reference images, using this as a, guide, we also now have to establish where our horizon line is. So the horizon line was somewhere over here, just above half of this box. Okay, can you see? We have the center line along this support in the center, which is of course a little to the side. And if you see that there is a line on the central support, two lines, a red line and a green line, and then where it attaches to the board on top, somewhere between those two is where we have our horizon line. Based on the horizon line now, you can also establish these two lines on top. So this will give us the side of the card. And this is slightly flatter. Below these two lines. So I want you to be able to see through all these lines. And then we have this coming down. And everything should be adjustable. You shouldn't be attached to any one thing. You should be able to see all objects in just very clear objectivity. So that if at some point you feel you have made some lines larger or spaces are slightly different, you should be able to change them. Now, even for the wheels, there is a perspective. And this extends a little further. Okay, everyone seeing this? I think mine has become a little too tall, but as we go ahead, we'll change it.
Can I show mine? I think I've done something wrong.
Okay, okay, let's evaluate.
Can you see it?
1 second. Let me just pin your page, your frame a little bit. No, your screen. Ah, yes, yes. What do you think you have done wrong?
I think the angle, like the shop kind of, I think.
Rida, did we do perspective drawing with your class?
I think we had done before.
I have done before, no? We didn't do it last week.
No.
Did last week? No. Okay. So I'll tell you what is happening here. If you look at the reference image, just hold your pencil over here. Say start from the top. You see the edge of the cart? Yeah. Hold the pencil on the edge of the top edge of the cart and see what angle it makes. Does it make from the center line, does the pencil point downward or upward?
Downward.
Okay. In your illustration, have you made a downward pointing line?
Yes.
All right. Now come to the bottom of the cart and place your pencil there and check whether this makes an upward angle or a downward angle.
It's going downwards on my drawing.
And in the photograph?
It is a little bit straight. The
It's a
right
little straight, right? All right. So make that adjustment. Make it straight. So keep checking with the photograph. The angles of below the horizon line will all be moving upward and they will be more acute the further you get from the horizon line.
Should
So-
I erase then?
Yeah, erase those lines and make new ones. So somewhere over here where all these lines converge is the vanishing point. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
All right. So then that vanishing point commands these lines to move in a radial fashion. This is how the lines will be moving. And here the vanishing point is even far away. So these lines will be moving like this, but they'll be slightly flatter than here. Now, once that is made, we can start creating details. And here you can switch between the original image and your illustration. Now, in our square, this is looking too narrow. So I'm going to expand my cart a little beyond this. I'm going to make it a little longer. Then it's got all these plates and stuff. So it's about this long. But this is the edge. And all the other measurements look like they're the same. So this is another pillar over here. And the wheel is exactly where we had kept it, not adjusting the wheel just because I'm extending the cart further. So when we are making the final lines, we need to make them from foreground to background. So that which we see in the front, we make first. I'm using a 0.3 over here for many of the lines, but you can use a 0.2. I think my 0.2 is not with me. And then for the finer details like the text, we can use even a 0.1 or 0.5. So now when we make the lines of these boards, what I want you to avoid making are lines like this. Don't make lines like these because they really don't do anything for our illustration. Or even this is not working. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Because this is a metal board, you should try to make lines which are more continuous. Can you see the difference between these two lines? One is very straight and static and trying to be like this. It looks very architectural. Try to make them a little more organic. Now, with respect to our guideline and how we see in the picture, start with what you see on the front. Make sure, as in towards you, make sure you get these lines well made. And also look at things like the angle of the board on top is a little crooked. It's not straight. That is what will make it look more believable. Then all these things are actually rectangular pieces. So they will all seem to have an edge. And forget that this is a cart and try to draw these edges as you see them. Like over here, this pillar of the cart goes all the way down. I've drawn the square is too long, so I'm going to have to shorten everything the way I see it. This is like those squares that or long rectangles that we made. The 3D boxes. And now also see how these two are also joining at a perspective line. Joining in, ending around like a perspective line. This will end slightly higher. The one on the right will end slightly higher than the one on the left. Then his dabba starts somewhere here. And ends somewhere a little recessed from those pillars. They're a little on the inside. And there's a frame for this as well. Now in this space, I don't have to get my wheels up, I think. This is the thickness of the cart, of the base. So my wheels are actually in the right position. My pillar, I would have made all the way to this corner, but that's not the end of the cart. The pillar ends earlier. Because here, they typically would have these stands where somebody can quickly stand and have a snack, and this will extend outward. This too will have an edge. And then you have the base of the cart itself, with some screws perhaps, some additional wooden planks for stability. And likewise on this side also, we will have one of these folding tables that come out, and you'll notice that there is a little hook and chain. So don't bother drawing a chain. It looks like a chain, but at this scale, trying to draw a chain would be crazy. So here are the few things that we need to gloss over, like chains and other details like that, which you in your head see like chains, but here you can just make a slightly wobbly line. Now let's move to the side. Make sure that you get these angles right. Now before the pillar, we will make this base, which comes out a little bit over here, almost, but it goes a little higher. This is the cross section of that table, and then it goes into the horizon. With respect to the top, it comes out a little extra over here. And here, I think he's got a huge can of murmura. So draw it like that, like you see it. I first thought that this was plates or bowls or something that he'd kept. And the more you peer into the drawing or the reference image, or the more you draw, you start seeing details completely different. And the reason I'm drawing this is because my pillar over here ends into that jar almost. So I have to draw it at the same time. Otherwise, I will make the wrong proportion. Now again, at the same height, he's got this side of that tappa coming out, going slightly higher up there, and ending somewhere here. And unfortunately, it has nothing hanging over here to give us an idea of what else we can put, like a corresponding thing, corresponding plank, but we let it be. Then we will draw everything else over here. This is where all our object drawing comes in handy. Bags and bags of food. I think this year I'm going to do this. I'm going to start eating some street food. We have so much variety in street food. And I've never been a fan of street food. So last year, a friend of mine at a party, she was serving bhel and pani puri, and everybody was so excited. And I was the only one who then she said, "Should I order a pizza for you?" And I felt so bad because she knew that I'm not into street food. What a waste living in this glorious country of street food. Okay, now when it comes to things like flowers and all, don't draw too much detail. Just draw silhouettes of the flowers because that is not the focus of the picture. So even if it looks like Genda pool and it's very pretty, we are just going to use color there. And as far as all this, I don't know what even this is. I think it's papri. Just make a silhouette again because drawing them individually is a nightmare. Draw these chili and tomato. And you don't even have to bother making a texture because that will look very untidy. Okay, is everyone with me? Do you need to go slower?
Aditi,
Yeah.
made a mistake here. So
Okay, let
I
me check.
actually draw the wheels here, but my wheels are here.
What do you think you've made a mistake at?
My wheels should be here.
Oh, just 1 second. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'll tell you what you've done, Archana.
Mhm.
So now that you see where your wheels are, you can bring the wheels up a little bit. So this often happens as you start building the illustration, you start seeing perspective better, placement better. So just bring this up.
Are we going to color this?
Yeah, yeah. Just check that your everything is in the right perspective now. Huh? Yeah, much better, no? Oh, wait, I'm looking at my illustration. So funny. Okay, fine. I was very impressed. Okay. Now, with the wheels, we have this whole mechanical thing happening at the bottom, and it can be very beautiful or it can be very stressful. So we are not going to make it stressful for us. Start off with the stuff that you see first. There's this sideways C-shaped contraption at the bottom. Now, anyways, below this, just make one line where you know that there is going to be some kind of structure underneath this, underneath the table. And of course, from here, we need to put a chain to this side as well. And one from here as well. So this sideways C, it's not horizontal, it's at an angle. Just make one line, which is how much? It's about this big, coming down and goes straight and then goes up and does something over here. You don't have to be bothered with the actual structure. Just draw a parallel line to that, end it somewhere over there. It really won't matter. Then there are some extra pieces of wood that I can see from here, and we don't know what they are, but we're just going to make them. That's all part of the structure. So if you notice the wheel is between two of these C-shaped structures. One is in the back, one is after the wheel. Mine has, I think, become too curved. And now we will try and draw the wheel. Now, if you're underconfident about making ovals, do make a pencil illustration first. Make your wheel in pencil. A good oval shape. And there's a way that we draw wheels specifically. So I want you to see this. Whenever we are drawing wheels, often we will draw concentric ovals or concentric circles. And then when we look at it, it does not look realistic. So we need to look at wheels as three-dimensional objects. They're not just a concentric vehicle, concentric oval. There is a thickness on the inside over here and also on the outside. So when we draw a wheel, the curve that is closer to us is usually thicker, and the curve that's further away from us is slightly thinner. This is the black part. And then you have the rim on the inside, and then you will have the axle, I suppose this is called, and a few lines, because they're not always straight. They go at cross angles. So if you can see those cross angles, draw them, or just a few lines is fine. Now let me expand this to vehicles like cars. You will have one side that's oval, and then the other side you will have a thin concentric almost shape, but the wheel becomes fat. And then you see this part like this. This looks like a more convincing wheel. And then you have the, whatever that guard thing is called, and in which then you will have the nuts and bolts and things. This is how the wheel looks. So when we are making the wheel on a hand cart, the front should be just slightly thicker than the back, and you should also show the inside of the wheel. Now, these are tiny details which make your illustration more convincing. So we have our wheel. This is an upright oval. So make sure, we have to make sure that our, the shape should have come in the center. So don't draw the wheel too far off from this center. I suppose paying a little attention to the structure would have helped here. But the proportion of the wheels is more important than where this structure fits in, okay? Then we have the base, and then we have the structure repeat again.
Can I show mine? I've done a basic pencil sketch.
One second. Let me just finish this so that everyone else can continue. And of course, making the wheel a little crooked will be very cute. An homage to how our street vendors have a tough time. They're still at it. Now here, please check that your sizes and proportions and your perspective is accurate. Okay, let's see, Rida.
This is like a basic sketch. So later when I'm going to ink it now.
Okay, so I think it looks very cute the way it is. It does not have the kind of extreme perspective that I've made, but I think you can just go ahead with what you've made. It's looking very sweet.
Thank you.
Now, all these things, this little cart in the, sorry, this thing in the bottom, it has an edge. So do try to make that edge also. And this rod runs across, make it in two lines, not just a single line. So I prefer to make things with edges because then that is what makes the object look more full. There's some bowl or something underneath over here, which also I'll add. That takes our cart further in the back. I wonder how Modi has not thought of making street food more, I mean, helping the street vendors, because that is such a cultural identity since he's on this whole trip of making our or showcasing everything that we have. Right now, underneath the cart, there are lots of things that we may or may not be able to see clearly. Oh, see, the distance is too much between these. But we have to fill up space. So you'll see stuff in it, just shapes. Draw the shapes, the silhouette of those shapes, without worrying about what the shapes are. Because otherwise it'll look very empty. I'm disregarding the basket over here. And there's a little bit of the other wheel that we see. Draw that as well. Otherwise, it'll look like a three-wheeled cart, which we don't want. That's it. I think my wheels could have been slightly bigger, but okay, I'm just gonna go locate my eraser. I think my cats have been playing with it, and I'll give you some time to finish this. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of the unnecessary lines. I haven't used this kind of eraser in, I think, years now. So this whole dust, eraser dust, I've lost the habit. Okay, now after we've erased this, we can write the text. So as we do other text, give yourself a baseline. Now in all, at least in Devanagari script, the baseline is actually on top of the letters, not the bottom. So see, the baseline is actually somewhere in here. And our letters are below the baseline. The tops of both sides of the letters, Bhelpuri, and here Prajapat, Namkeen Merchant. Is about the same. And then Fafra obviously is written on the side. And we can just write this very narrow. We are going to be painting them in single color. Thankfully, this is not in reverse. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare. Everything is just crunched. And there's a nice blue border to this whole thing.
Aditya, I don't think I can fit the entire thing.
No, I think you should be able to write if you write this very thin brush.
Mhm.
Now again, here notice that our vertical lines are vertical. Don't make them perpendicular, even in the text. And the text is the embellishment for the illustration, not the food or the cart. The moment your text comes in, it starts looking so much nicer. Now here, I don't know what this says, Goli Baba. What is a Goli Baba? And there's a picture of that war, Arjun at war and all. So now, again, part of the beauty of this handcart is that illustration, but obviously we can't draw those 4 horses and chariot and whatnot. So we are going to just paint the colors there. And on top of that, we're going to write this Goli Baba, whatever he's written. Sounds so Daku-like, Goli Baba.
Those gangsters like going over.
Correct, exactly.
It's perfect for some like movie.
Yeah,
Or Don, like an Indian Don.
correct. Here there's a very cute picture of that Sri Krishna that we often see. Again, just make some outline and we're going to make it blue and whatnot. So, and I think there's some tree like they normally have or some frame. So these, I absolutely love Krishna art. I wish I could do that. In another life, I'm definitely going to become an artist who does only Krishna art. But it's more about the colors that make that art look attractive.
Especially
So,
the ISKCON ones. The ISKCON Krishnas are so beautiful.
Henna, I could become
Yeah,
a believer
the
just by
ISKCON
seeing
art
this.
is just amazing.
Just for that, I'll follow them.
There's one artist, if I'm not wrong, on Twitter. He does like paintings of Krishna, and they're all very good. Like he does it with watercolor.
There was one time that I collected an artist's work from a magazine. I still have that magazine somewhere. It's just exquisite. Just looks so beautiful, so contemporary. All right. In the meantime, this eraser is terrible. Can't roll over. So spoiled now with that. So I have to find a way to do this. Maybe we should have done this afterwards. Oh. I'm obscuring most of the lettering. Hopefully I'll see it through afterwards. So here now we'll start painting. And as usual, the first color we will put in will be the grays. Now, this is the area that you will test all your colors before you paint. And by testing, I mean you will wait till the color dries. So make a small patch and wait till it dries to check that you have made the right shade. So the gray that we normally make, black, ultramarine blue, and burnt umber. We want to make a very light shade of that. Something like this, very watery. Test it out over here. You can write down what the shade is also. And put it in certain places like the crevices, like you have space here. Somewhere like this, underneath this. And also a little bit along the cart, but not as dark, obviously. Not too dark. So just a little shadow, because otherwise the whole thing looks so starkly white and unnatural. Then a little shadow over here, because these are again very light blue panels. Some base, because I think this is usually glass, onto which then we will put more color. Edges. And we will be putting this color again a second time round. And everything that is in shadow, which is underneath the card. Now, but notice how I'm not making it flat. I'm just putting it in a few places. In some places, I'm leaving it white
It's a bit
because
difficult.
there will be some highlights. Yeah. Now let's just match color and paint the food. Food painting should be very easy. The first shade will be with lemon yellow and lemon yellow, yellow ochre, and gamboge. And just a wash, somewhat like that. And make it a little denser in one area. So put a little extra burnt umber and but leave some highlights for the plastic bag. Then burnt umber, a little bit of orange perhaps, and yellow ochre for the next bag. That too has some highlights. Do leave some highlights like that sideways. Same color can also come somewhere here. Next one is gamboge and lemon yellow. So look at the shapes in which you see the colors on the bags. Towards the inside, it's always a slightly deeper color, like somewhere over here. You need to give those dimensional colors. Are you able to see the different colors within those bags also? Because in our head, we see them as just the color of the shade. But actually, there are more colors than we see. Now coming back to this, the shade over here, keep it mixed. So a little bit of lemon yellow towards the bottom and a little bit of gamboge and burnt umber and lemon yellow towards the top. It's the same colors in different proportions. And because this is in a slightly shadowy area, you can have a denser, deeper color there on the top. And as you come lower, just press the brush and the same color will dissipate and become slightly lighter.
I'm going to do the font later. I have the paint.
Sorry?
I'm thinking to do the font later.
Yeah, we'll be doing the font later.
Yeah. I've not sketched it, so I think I'll sketch it first.
No, don't sketch it right now.
No, later.
After the gray. Now, in this itself, you can paint the flowers and you can come back into the flowers with a little bit of orange or a mix of gamboge and scarlet to get a nice genda color. Now the actual color of the cart has faded, obviously, but we are going to fudge this detail a little bit and give the cart a little bit of a paint job. So you can make a mix of cerulean blue and emerald green. We hardly use emerald green, but it's a very artificial looking color. And again, test it out and always write, wherever you make a test of a color, write down what you have used there. And this is light enough. You don't need to make it any deeper than that. And press your brush down and apply the paint. It needs to be applied very haphazardly. It cannot be too fine. So while I'm saying that we'll give him a fresh coat, we have to make him look less weathered. That's about it. Because for the purpose of our illustration, we want color. We want to be able to see it as close to how this fellow's cart might have been, but not too close, as in not too fresh, because then that takes away the whole joy of it being a street vendor. It'll be like fake Bollywood. What am I saying? Bollywood is fake. It'll be like Bollywood. So just a few places here and there, you will put the paint and leave a few places unpainted. And in fact, in a few places, in this itself, you can add a little bit of gray, like you see. But every time you do this, press your brush down a little bit. Don't apply with just the tip. With tips, you get texture. Now, once this layer has dried, go back and paint some of the edges that are facing towards the left. So we get some 3D action happening. Underneath over here, which is already reinforced a little bit because of the gray. And then take this down to these parts. These were also built in the same color. The container inside is steel, so color it like steel. Now, till everything at the bottom is drying, let's put in some color splotches for these painted parts. So use a slightly bigger brush and Put in the brighter colors, like we have a shade of cerulean going into what looks like yellow and orange. But this has to also look adequately faded. And here again, we have some blue for the Krishna. And here you can merge it with a little bit of gamboge, but be careful that your gamboge does not become too green. So let the blue dry a little bit. And as it comes down, add a little bit of green, maybe again a little bit of blue. Just look at the picture that you see and then add those details. A little bit of yellow ochre towards the bottom would also be fine. Similarly, it's just splotches on all sides, but keep them friendly. So make them go into each other. Here I'm using yellow ochre a little bit. Some muted colors. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber on the side. So everything it should be like one color splotch. Don't leave any white spots in there. Now we can paint the wheels. So first paint the inside part slightly gray. This inside part. And then after that has dried, you will paint the wheel, but in some places leave a little bit of white. Don't paint the whole thing black. So you see a little bit of the rim, and then black on the other side. Use a thin brush that you trust for this job. You don't want any spare hairs running all over the place. So see how when you leave that light rim, it looks much, much more believable. Like just over here. And even this, now this is a pure black color. This is not that mix. So even this will always look gray, no matter how much black you put. This will always tend to look grayer than you want. But in watercolor, it's important to even do your blacks in layers of gray. So here you can add an additional layer of gray or one more layer on the top and at the bottom, leaving a little highlight in the center. The back of this wheel can be much darker. All these parts that we have painted earlier can all become the silhouettes that they're looking like. There's some part over here. And these look like twine or something. You can make some kind of painted texture on this. And as far as the spokes are concerned, here's one trick to make them look numerous. Just draw these radiating lines in paint. So they're gray, they're not like the black lines. They also look numerous. They fill up the space so that they don't look odd, but they don't stand out in your face. They're just as important in the painting as they are in the reference image. They're there, they're not ignored, but they're not too dark. And we don't have lines, pens to make so many thin lines. So you can make them in paint. And now we can finally start making the text. So here again, I think it's mostly just the border and all is a light cerulean blue. Don't add white to this as much as you might be tempted to. Just make it a light cerulean color. Make the border first. The border on the vertical borders on this side will be thicker than the vertical border on that side. Bless you.
Thank you.
Forgot this pillar completely. And I forgot to make the green in the bottle also. And even this button is green, the same thing like the cart. And this is steel. Now, very carefully, we can write the text. Now, I always recommend writing the further text, like the non-important text first. Don't write the important one first. Whatever mistakes are to happen, and invariably they might, let them happen in the part that is not very visible. Before you start writing, always check if your pen or your brush is doing the job. Though this is not the face it's supposed to be written at, I just tested it over there because I don't want to waste that space. And then write very carefully. And again, over here, the spellings are not important. So if you forget a letter, don't go and try to correct it. Just let it go.
Aditi, is it burnt umber?
Is it what?
Which color have you picked? Is it burnt sienna or?
No, this is, sorry, I forgot to mention, this one is scarlet with a little bit of red, light red.
Okay.
The next one will be cobalt blue. Maybe cobalt blue with a little bit of cerulean because it's in my palette. But just cobalt blue will also be fine. Okay, with every brush stroke, I'm going to test that the bristles on my brush are not misbehaving. Now, often in these in Devanagari, you will make the top line first, and it's a good idea to do that because we get that perspective line. And then you do the vertical. And remember that the heights of the letters have to be expanding towards here. The last one will, I think, be just sap green. Maybe sap green with some emerald green. Now here I'm running out of space. So if I don't finish the word merchant, I'm just gonna let it be.
Oh, I got so carried away in writing, I just made everything red.
Oh,
And I'm feeling so proud of my letters, and I'm like, oh my god, they're all red.
but aren't they so good? Would you have thought
Yeah.
that this would make a picture look so pretty? This is the artwork. That's the most fascinating bit. This is what makes the card look beautiful. I
See,
don't know
look.
whether it's
Oh,
just me or whether I think it's just me.
see, look how clear the letters have come out. But they're all
Oh,
just,
oh, how nice.
but they're all just red.
So yeah, being carried away is right. You were mesmerized.
Yeah, that I could get it so fine with a brush,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow.
And how it completes the picture of the hand card. That is the most beautiful thing. So even on this side, focus on the bhel puri first and then make that fafda. Because if you don't have enough space, forget the fafda and just make bhel puri.
I'm thinking not to add the font because mine has become too small. The whole box, I know.
Okay, then don't write. Don't write.
Like that. Ma'am, have you been to the Van Gogh Museum, the 361?
Yeah, I went there last weekend. It was
Yes.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I felt it was too much for the price, honestly.
absolutely right.
Like my
I
parents,
was,
dad
yeah.
was like, was disappointed. He was like, this is way too much for the price. I mean, they just at the first they just showed like what his life was. I mean, they could have done more, honestly, in my opinion.
I agree. I completely agree. I was very disappointed, or let's say
Yeah,
underwhelmed. And
yeah.
unfortunately, because we've seen pictures of what they've done abroad, no, this is
Mm,
definitely not worth it.
yeah. The merchandise also it was too expensive. Like the
Yeah,
t-shirts were like 99,
yeah,
99. Like that is way too much. I'd rather just buy a plain t-shirt and get some kind of print on it, like a sticker or something.
exactly. Yeah, and these are, I mean, we can easily get most of them printed, so it
Yeah.
really wasn't a big deal. Hmm.
Honestly, I just at the merchandise store, I just got like one mug. The mug
Hmm.
was good.
Hmm.
I got one mug and like a bracelet. That was the only thing I got.
Yeah, I
What
think
was the price of the ticket?
the ticket price was 1,000 rupees minimum,
Yeah.
And it was
and
in
it
Mumbai,
goes
right?
Mumbai, yeah, and it goes
Oh.
up to maybe 1,600 or something or 2,000, and there's no difference between the two. You get the
Yeah.
same experience.
And
You
the
have,
weekend it is more expensive. So yesterday my dad
hmm,
he had like a meeting, so it was cancelled.
hmm.
So and they are very smart. They're the people like the people who organize the Van Gogh Museum. They were like, if you come late, we won't let you in.
Oh no,
So we were like, we have to rush, we have to rush. And we reached
yeah,
there. We went, we took a tour, and basically, I think the whole, like, overall, the museum, I think it was okay. Like, not bad, but not good, also, I will feel.
yeah. I think they still consider us a third world country.
Yeah.
We have not been anywhere in this. We are all going to say, "Arey, wow, this is so good." We would never have
Yeah.
thought of doing something like that.
There was just one thing which was about the whole museum, which was good, was like their whole room, the big, like the
Yeah.
3D where they show, that was good.
Yeah,
Like that was really nice. I think that was the only thing which saved the whole museum.
I think so. The first part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my mom, after that, she was like, I want to go and somewhere eat. Like she was extremely hungry, and I was also.
Yeah, and there's hardly anything to eat over there, and
Yeah.
it's just a terrible thing.
Yeah. So then we.
Same immersive one which I was talking about long time back.
Yeah, yeah, same one. 360, Mango 360.
Okay. So, yeah. So here it's like every couple of months they keep changing. So
Oh,
now Disney.
Okay.
uh-huh.
And they say that they have different price ranges for VIP and all.
Mhm.
But if you go inside, it's an open hall. There are no chairs or anything. There will be like small tables, and
Mhm.
you can have a yoga mat and you can do yoga and everything. But we haven't seen like anything like VIP is a separate treatment or anything like that.
But
And
then
it's
also, do you have a time limit?
actually there is a time limit, but no one will check. We can. I
Yeah.
have been. I took only for 1 hour or something, and then I sat for more than like I saw two times the entire show.
So how long was the show there?
I think the whole museum takes 1 hour. Like looking at everything, it takes something about 1 hour or so.
Archana, at your place?
Yeah, it's almost like 1 hour or so or less than that.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
happened
because
to
over here, the artwork repeated after 20 minutes.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
Same
almost
thing.
like that.
Yeah.
I think it's the same one. I've seen like it's the same kind of stuff they have added. But here they had some mirrors in between which had that reflection also over it.
Okay. No, I was quite disappointed. And I did such
It's been set up differently in different places, and I think the way they've set it up overseas is much better than the way they've set it up in Bombay. It's very
Oh,
rudimentary in Bombay, you know. I mean,
yeah.
and not all the paintings come on the floor, so that that immersive experience
Yeah.
that you're talking of,
Honestly, I felt it was okay. I think it was like
so at
one time
least
of
it's
experience.
not projected on the floor and all.
Yeah.
I feel
But you
one.
should actually see that film, Vincent. You know, that will reconfirm your faith in the magic of
Loving,
Vincent Van Gogh.
loving Vincent, no?
Yeah, loving Vincent.
Yeah.
Actually, see that film.
That is wonderful.
The time limit could be because of the crowd, I think. Here,
True.
yeah, people are more.
All right, so I'm almost done. I have to just put Goli Baba over here now. I have put some additional splotches of color, like that orange flag and everything, to create a sense of a scene over there. If you have the time, and I honestly, if I did have the time, I would have looked for this Krishna image and then actually made that. Like I'm trying to make a face over here because I just love it so much. But you don't have to do that. It's just too crazy. And that's it. So when you make this as an illustration in your book, one thing I forgot though to tell you right in the beginning, which we should have done, is put a shadow. So now, if you want, we can put slight shadow underneath the whole thing. Just make sure that you don't dislodge any of the dark colors.
Actually, one of my relatives had gone to the Van Gogh museum,
Hmm.
and he said He said it is like, it is okay. It is not like it is not worth it. Same, he said. And my mom, she's like, no, don't say that. We've already booked it.
Oh,
Like we had already done it. We actually attended a wedding on
uh-huh.
Thursday. So one of the guests my mom was talking to, he was like, it is okay. It is like average, honestly.
Yeah. But would you recommend it to anyone? That was my quandary. I
Hmm.
didn't know whether I should recommend it or not. Because
Same. Yeah,
if
like
you
one
think
of my
about it,
friends,
it is a good experience. People
it's
who are
only
not
nice.
art people, they should see it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for people who have a little bit of art background, they should be forewarned that don't expect too much.
Hmm.
Go just because it's like ticking that off the list. That when it
Yeah.
was in Bombay, did you go and see it? Yes, we went and saw it. That's about it. But don't expect that it's going to blow your socks off. That's about what I would say.
Yeah. Honestly, like one of my friends, she's very excited. She's like, I really want to go. Like, if I'm not wrong, she was the one who recommended.
Hmm.
So, and then the museum is going to be now it is in Mumbai, then they're
Yeah.
going to be in Bangalore. So, my
Ah.
friend's in Bangalore. So, I'm deciding whether should I tell her or not. Like, it was okay or not. I'm thinking not
I
to tell her.
I think you should tell her what your honest experience was and
Yeah,
warn her. So maybe you can describe it because I wouldn't want to say don't go to anyone. This is,
yeah, same.
I mean, go see it. It's like, otherwise, are you doing anything more interesting in life? Unless you are in Amsterdam at the Van Gogh Museum, then
Yeah.
you go and see this. Or
Yeah.
if you own a Van Gogh, then don't go and see this. But
Hmm.
likelihood of that is very rare. So just go. It's a nice thing to do. Um,
Yeah.
and enjoy it for whatever it is. Bus, that's it.
It's that type of museum where you can only like go one time and you're like, okay, this is like only one time kind of thing. It's not like that type of thing where you can go
I
like
wish, but I think that if this experience were, if they expand on this and start putting it in some mall, for example,
yeah, that will
uh,
be much better.
I would love to go and just sit over there because it would be beautiful. But
But they're like,
it can't be a ticketed thing, not this.
yeah,
It's too expensive
So
for,
I've
it's
just
not
been
worth
telling
the
people I'm not going to give you any opinion. Go and see for yourself and decide whether you like it or not. Because there are such extreme opinions,
their extreme opinion.
and we heard such people were so disappointed, and so we were wondering whether we should what are we letting ourselves in for? Because I'm lucky enough to have seen the Van Gogh Museum and the and paintings at the Met and all. So but we enjoyed it. I think
yeah,
maybe because we like Van Gogh so much, we enjoyed it. We were like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you see the technical things of it, you might be like overwhelmed with that. But if you just sit, like when I went, I was looking at what they have, what kind of projectors they have, where did they showcase? Is it it's like a big hall and it's all projectors.
yeah.
Do
But
you
if you
have
like,
just do you have just one hall or do you walk through halls
it's
in
only
Canada?
one hall. It's only one hall. It's a large banquet hall, I guess. It's a huge one. And in between, they had, so all the walls are actually with the projectors, and then you can see what is happening, and it slides from the down to the top and top to the left and everything. And there are, in between, there are mirrors. So
Hmm.
that mirror reflection is actually something which added a more. So I was actually, I lied down actually there. And I was looking all around. I was looking at my own impressions, my legs, my face. I was going around. And we were dancing also. Like some of them were dancing. And like if you like sit there for some time and start enjoying yourself, I
Yeah,
think it will be good. Like you should not expect anything. You just need to go with
yeah,
open.
yeah, I think so.
I think those mirrors probably added a lot to it.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
yeah,
ladies,
introduction.
I need to drop off. You all can
Okay.
continue the conversation. I have the next class at 11:30. A bunch of kids are going to land up, so I just need to clear up. But you all can continue. I'm just going to
Yeah.
end. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm
that's
going to
it.
leave the meeting.
This was so much fun, this
Thanks.
cart.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Nice.
Aditi.
Yeah, put your pictures on the group. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Have a good
Bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Varsh.